You can do that
Hello,
now.
everyone. There you go.
You're a co-host.
Modern technology. Thank you. Hey, Lloyd, I want to say thank you to everyone. Really quick moment. I want to say thank you and all your efforts for autism. You know, us in the state, we try to address every issue we can financially and provide the services that our residents need. And autism should be really right up there. I know so many of you personally, and your efforts with autism throughout the years has been so appreciated. So again, I want to say thank you and let us know how we can help in the state. You know, we just passed the budget. We try to increase funding, not only for education, but it's not how much money we spend in education, but where it goes. And I think, Lloyd, you had to write about awareness and to be aware of the, issues regarding autism, working with the agencies that help others. Because not only does the individual who has autism, deal with it, it's obviously dealt with by everyone around them, family and friends. And so only by working together do we address and obviously give all the services that are needed for those who have autism. So again, if I could be of any help, please let me know. But I want to say thank you to everyone here tonight and taking positive steps to addressing autism. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I know you don't like me calling you that. You want me to call you Joe? But I can't help it. You deserve it. You worked hard for it, and you're still in office. It's an amazing feat in this time, that we're still able to see the people that are doing great work and stay in office and to continue doing great work. So I thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. And I know that you're a busy man, but I appreciate you. We're going to move on to our panelists that are here today, our expert panelists. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Our expert panelists are here today. I really would like to, I think Juliana was bumped out somehow. If we can get Juliana back up on the screen. Because
she's in, Roy, you just need to allow her to be on Spotlight and different things. She's in.
Okay, all right, we'll let her, we'll do that. Let me do that for her, Juliana. Okay. All right, Juliana, I'm gonna, you can go ahead and try to start your camera now, Juliana. Juliana is one of our panelists today. Okay. Okay, all right, there we go. All right, Juliana, say a couple words. Make sure you're here live and in charge with us. Make sure you can unmute and you can speak. We're gonna want to hear from you today. Can't unmute. Okay, no worries. I got a cure for that. Okay, go ahead, Juliana.
Okay, we're good. Hi, guys.
Good, beautiful. All right, everything is set. So we're gonna start this presentation today, and we're gonna have a good time. We have an educational time, and I know that I showed this video because it was very important of how the lengths that we'll go to help the people in our community that we don't understand much, and to say now we understand. And today, at the end of this, I would like everybody to say, hey, now I understand more, because you're not going to understand everything, but I would hope that you understand more with the expert panelists that we have today. And that's the goal, just like this dad did when he wrote and performed this song for his autistic son. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to go on and introduce some of our panelists here today. They're very important people in this community, and I want to make sure I just at least welcome them, and then we'll get into them introducing themselves specifically. First, let me just welcome James Sherry. He's the Chief Executive Officer for New York Families for Autistic Children, also known as NYFAC. I want to also just make sure that I welcome you on behalf of Neir's Tavern, the Neir's Community Ambassadors. We welcome you. Second, I want to welcome Cheryl and Marsh, who is a parent, who is also a parent of a child that is autistic, and a board chair. She's a chairperson for the board of New York Families for Autistic Children. I want to also just welcome you on behalf of Neir's Tavern and the Neir's Community Ambassadors. My friend, Juliana Fetherman, a tech founder and CEO of Making Authentic Friendships. She has done incredible work on the other side of just trying to create a foundation around that supports a business, that also supports a passion, supports a good cause. She's melded into one with technology, with an app that she developed. And we're going to talk about that. She was featured in Forbes as well for doing such a great work. So thank you, Juliana, and welcome as well on behalf of Neir's Tavern and the Neir's Community Ambassadors. I also want to welcome Chris Castelli. He's a comedian, a teacher, and I'm naming him. He's an autism advocate because he started educating me on a few things, and I kind of like shut up a little bit. So I'm here to learn. So welcome, Chris Castelli, for the work that you're doing and you're spreading and you're sharing. I also want to welcome Dawn Mastoridis, who's a director at Queens Community House. Over there, they're doing not just work with the autistic community, but just a whole plethora of services. I mean, incredible work. So, but today she's going to talk about the youth in the autistic community, the things that they're doing to ensure that they're accepted and included wherever life may take them. And we're going to talk about that. And Dawn is here with us today. So thank you again and welcome on behalf of Neir's Tavern and Neir's Community Ambassadors. And my name is Loycent Gordon. I'm the host today, owner of Historic Neir's Tavern, been here for 12 years and trying to put it all together and to ensure that this is not only just business for me, this is all about a community, because without a community, we don't have a business. We have to serve people. And today I'm here to serve you and ensure that everybody walk away with some kind of knowledge that they didn't have. But before I get into the meat of it, I do want to recognize the Neir's Tavern Community Ambassadors, who is a private group of the most passionate supporters of Historic Neir's Tavern that are looking to do inspiring work in the community and also help Historic Neir's Tavern last to get to its bicentennial. We've been coordinating this. This is one of our first events to inspire people, to bring community, and also to say, hey, you know what? We can bring people together, do great work, and support our historic businesses that unfortunately are closing so often. That's why I got involved with Neir's Tavern, because it was 3 days from closing, and I became from a customer to owner. That was the only way to save it. But together, community can conquer all, and that's what we're going to try to prove with the Neir's Tavern Community Ambassadors. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me organize this. Without them, this would never have happened. All right, so now let's get into the introductions. I want everybody that's a panelist to be able to introduce themselves, and you can unmute yourself if you can, I think. If you're not, then I'm going to allow you to. Either way, let's start with James, because James is here to at least give a good overview of just a quick talk on, not talk, but a 30-45 seconds. Please keep it to like 30-45 seconds. It's a quick intro. But James, the executive director of NYFAC, if you can do that, that'd be awesome.
Sure thing. Thank you so much, Loy, and thank you so much for putting this on. I'm sure everyone, and I certainly appreciate the lengths that you and your team and your supporters have gone to put tonight on for all of us. So look, I thought I might just let everyone know a little bit about NYFAC. It's a local community organisation. We support both adults and children with developmental disabilities, and we have programs that we provide at the best of times, in person, face-to-face at our site down in Howard Beach. We're providing face-to-face programs now, and we also provide a range of services where we have folks go out and work with people in their homes and the community. So we've been around for a little over 20 years. We consider ourselves a real part of the Queens and Howard Beach community. I've been on board for just a couple of years, but I've been just so blown away with the passion of everyone in the NYFAC team and the amazing things that parents and families do every day. And a couple of stories about a couple of our individuals that I might share later on, but it's lovely to be on the panel tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, James. I would like you to, this is going to be a little different, that we're going to do the intros. I would like you to pick the next person to introduce themselves.
Brady Bunch
I
style.
got you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to point that way for me and say, Chris, it's over to you.
Hello, thank you, James. Thank you for the intro. Thank you for picking me. Sorry about the unmuting thing. I had to wait for Loy to give me permission. Thanks for having me. Thanks to Neir's. I love Neir's Tavern. It's one of my favorite places to be. I've been going to Neir's Tavern for over 10 years, believe it or not. So I love that. I'm a teacher. I have been teaching middle school since 2007. It feels like a long time, but absolutely. And I'm also a comedian. I host a comedy show at Neir's Tavern that may or may not be totally relevant. It actually is a little bit relevant. I'm not going to get into all of that right now. And I am someone who realized that late in life, while learning about different learning styles and thinking styles and communication styles and reading so much about what autistic people have to say about their experiences growing up and living full lives, that I realized that I could relate a lot more to the autistic community than to the neurotypical community. And I have not found an official diagnosis because that's very expensive and inaccessible to adults largely. But I I feel like I am a part of that community because I am most likely an autistic individual. It's hard to say it without an official diagnosis, but every quiz I take points me in that direction. And so that's what I'm learning about myself. And yeah, it's a learning experience. Am I supposed to pick the next person?
Yes.
I'm gonna pick Dawn.
Hi, can you hear me or am I unmuted? Okay, great. Nice to meet you, Chris, and Cheryl and James and Juliana. Lloyd, thank you for having me. I am the director of Queens Community House's Child Care Network. I joined in September of last year. My career has largely been in the space of working with people with disabilities, largely young children. I started with early intervention services back in the 90s when the early intervention was first born, and people did not understand a lot about autism, which was the growing diagnosis among children birth to 3. Children weren't getting diagnosed very frequently at that stage of the game. And over the course of 20 plus years, I've also worked with young adults, older adults. So I've worked with, really the whole gamut of from, little ones to older adults along the spectrum and other disabilities too. But my area of greatest interest is autism. So now with Queens Community House and the Child Care Network, I'm trying to make sure all the, families that
Did we lose Dawn?
Like she froze.
Dawn, you froze. All right, we'll get her back on. So I'm gonna have to do the next pick. All right, this is nerve-wracking. All right, Cheryl, you're
Hi,
it.
everybody.
Tag.
Hi, Loycent. Thank you for having us all.
Please do a little quick intro. Let us know who you are.
Okay, my name is Cheryl Marsh. I'm the board chair for NYFAC. And most importantly, I'm Tori's mom and her advocate. I think that when I first started at NYFAC, my goal was really about Tori in the beginning, and it blossomed into a community, and now here we are. You wanted me to keep it brief. I kept it brief.
Thank you, Cheryl. So let's see if we could get Dawn and Juliana back up. It looks like I'm the only one that's able to. Actually, Juliana, you're also a host, and Dawn, you're also gonna be a co-host. I think that'll make things easier for you. So if you can make sure that you get on right now, and I'm gonna make sure that you're spotlighted, and so you can join us. And I would like you, okay,
I'm on, I think.
okay. Go ahead. And would you be able to finish your intro?
I think so. You can see me now, and can you hear me now? I don't know where I left off. So I think I was sharing that with the camera's still off. It says can't share. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So hi again. I am back. As I was saying, I work as the director for Queens Community Houses Child Care Network now. This was a recent career move after working in the space of developmental disabilities for 20 plus years, the majority of which was with very young children. So I'm very familiar with the early diagnosis and a lot of the difficulties parents go through and families go through with young children when they don't understand what's happening and that they don't understand the diagnosis. And I've worked with folks as they get older and try to go into vocational exploration and start a career. And I've seen all different, success stories of people with autism. I'm, very proud of all the different accomplishments I've seen people go through. I've kept in touch with some of the families, through the journey of diagnosis all the way. I keep in touch with them for 20 plus years. So, and I really enjoy educating people. So with Queens Community House, I've made an effort to make sure all our daycare providers, we have a network of over 40 plus daycare providers in Queens, family daycare providers that are licensed to serve out of their home. We make sure that they understand what autism is. We make sure they understand how to access services, either through early intervention or the school districts, or through medical professionals. And we're helping also give awareness to parents, who might be hesitant to pursue a diagnosis or get services and explain the benefits of it. So I'm really excited that you're doing this event, Loy, and really excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. So, and the little game is you pick the next person. I think it's last but not least. It might be, is it Juliana?
Yes, it's me. Thanks, Loy, for putting this together. I'm so excited to meet you all. So I'm Juliana Fetherman. I founded Making Authentic Friendships, which is an app that enables individuals with special needs to make friends based on their age, diagnosis, interests, and geographic location. Although I'm not a parent, obviously, I am a sibling. My brother is 22. He has autism and ADHD, and MAF are his initials, and also Making Authentic Friendships. So I pretty much decided to dedicate my life to something that he has always struggled with, which was making friends and using his social skills. So our app kind of takes a lot of the work out of that. We have conversation prompts, among other life skills building activities to kind of help, people grow all around. And we serve users in all 50 states and 50 countries.
Thank you so much. That is awesome, man. This is great. I think I'm hearing people over here saying that's awesome. So you got a lot of fans already. So thank you, everyone. Again, this is just a quick round of introductions. Thank you for joining us. We're going to move on with our program. We're going to go towards the educational portion of this event. But I think it's important that I let everyone know how I even got started in this thing. Why am I doing this? What's the purpose? What's the reason? This takes up too much time. All of this stuff and so I just kind of really want to make sure that I let everyone know that's watching this, that's on this Zoom call right now, that's inside this restaurant right now, that this is important, and this became important to me before I knew it was important. And I think that's where we all start off in life, with things that get on our radar. And I want to make sure that I reveal to you this video that I quickly took when it started to happen to me of realizing that there's a whole community out here that we don't really understand, that has something to offer to humanity, to us. And that's when this happened to me while I was doing another event, because the year prior I did one, a golf outing raising money, but this one taught me that you can't just throw money at the problem sometimes. That's not always the solution. It taught me that you need to have some understanding, some empathy, all of that things that is priceless, money cannot solve. And when I watch this video, it reminds me of that very thing. So I would like you I would like to share that with you as well, how I got on this. I think it's important to let you know that what this video is. So Jaren, I've seen Jaren around Neir's Tavern. His mom came here, and I got to understand that he was unique. He was unique in his own right. And I was still trying to understand and process it. He hadn't spoken to me directly, maybe at home, and I wasn't really understanding why. And I'm curious. However, we did an event called Autism Support Event at Neir's Tavern. We sell boosters, raffles, all of that stuff that you normally do, right? Raising money. And then his mother came to me and said, hey, he's never spoken in public in this fashion. I said, what fashion? Well, he wrote a letter that he wants to speak on stage to a packed dining room. And this is his first time speaking publicly. I was like, I never even heard this guy speak to me privately. And so he's gonna now speak publicly on this stage that's behind me. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And this is him speaking. And I tell you, that's when I realized that autism is important and it's a special gift. And we should try to figure out a way to make sure we include everyone in that rest of society. And I just wanted to have you listen to his letter if you can. Watch the replay if you possibly can.
It is important for all children with special needs to have the same chances other children do. Work through gives them the chance to play baseball just like any other child. The challenge of the video is why we are here today, and I hope you will buy lots of boosters to help support children with special needs to be able to have fun and be a part of a sport they love. Many children will not have this chance, but we are lucky to have this young community. I would like to thank Cheryl for being my first therapist.
Now, I'm gonna tell you now, it was hard for me to hold that camera still because I started to well up knowing the backstory. And it was just such an important moment that I decided just to pull my camera out and start recording because I knew it was a special moment. And you can see his mom right there in the corner, Tracy, in the blue blouse, just really just so proud. And it also touched me as well. So she's right here now. She's here and they're here. I don't know if you can, maybe you can, see, but they're here and it's just amazing. So that got me on the journey to do whatever I can. I remember this is one of the first times that I met Tracy and Jaren at an event. It was a fundraiser for the Block Association. And I remember her telling me that he put all of this money, this tickets, bought all this to win a guitar, right? So to win the guitar. And he didn't win the guitar. He didn't win the guitar. And I didn't know this. But guess who won the guitar? I won the guitar. I won the guitar. And I knew that he put all of his little chips, those things, tickets for the guitar. So I gifted him the guitar. And look at that smile. Look at that beautiful smile. And that's my wife right there with me at the event. And I decided the guitar is his. And that was a small gesture to understand that, if you have so much in the world, try to give a little bit of that to people that need. That was 2014. And that got me on that journey. And it was important. Very young. Now he's a tall guy. This is him, much taller than Richard. Richard over here is a Neir's community ambassador. Look how, and me, he's over, he's about 6 feet now. So he's come a long way in his growth spurt. But anyway, Jared is a friend. He's hung out with my son and all this stuff. But it got me on a journey to understand that we're in a level of acceptance. I think we all should be aware already. Let's start making sure that everyone is accepted. And that's what it's about. I didn't have all the money in the world this year because of COVID. The business is tough. We're still trying to make it work with all the things that are happening. But I decided the least I could do was at least light it up blue with Neir's Tavern. So I just bought some light and said, I'm going to light it up blue, because if you don't have money, try to create some recognition of that there's an autistic community that is important. So that is my little way of helping. So that's my 2 cents. Sure. It looks like he would like to speak about acceptance. Okay. Yeah. Anybody would like to hear Jared? Looks like he wants to speak. Okay. Put yes in the chat. Put yes if you'd like to hear Jared. Here's a microphone here. I'm gonna hold on. Actually, wait. We didn't plan this. We gotta still do the COVID thing. We did not plan this. So let's see if we can do this right. All right. So if you put this just like that, you should be able to why is acceptance important? Okay. So Jared, why is acceptance important to you?
I believe that it's important because autistic people can do almost all the same things as regular people can do. And there's just a few things that we may struggle with. But I believe that we should have just as important roles in society as people that don't have autism.
Thank you. And I think that sums it up. I'm not going to try to make that any better. I think he says the same thing that we all are here for. It's about acceptance. So Jared, thank you very much for that impromptu. Now you can't get him to stop talking. That's great. Thanks so much. That's beautiful. So thank you for that. And so that's what we hear. Now I would like to get into talk to our panelists. We have a range of people here that are expert in their own fields, from, I guess, a tech founder to executive director for a large foundation, to a comedian and a teacher and an advocate. And that's also, coming to realize that, maybe I'm on the spectrum, maybe he's on the spectrum, maybe he has something to offer that's unique. I don't know. I'm maybe speaking out of term, and we also have Cheryl, who's also a parent, and she's a board director for NYFAC board. So again, welcome guys. And so what we're gonna start off with, I really wanna kind of make sure that I get this out of the way. I think it's all about the start, just how I started. I wanna ask this question to you. Autism acceptance became important to you when? And let's just try to keep it, short, because I only want to get through a lot of the juicy stuff as well. But if you could tell me, just like I told you, when this started for me, if you can give us a nice, succinct answer. I'll start with Chris. I will start with Chris. When did autism became important for you?
I would say when I started learning about the diversity of thinking styles and learning styles. When I started teaching, obviously, I had to all of a sudden, my job is to learn about every single individual in that room. And it made me obviously think more about myself and how I think and how not everyone thinks like me. And then doing more and more reading about, writings by autistic authors and what the autistic community at large has to say about the issue and the controversies within this issue, and just how much misinformation there is, and how a lot of people have a lot to learn, and that's okay. Progress takes time, but that's it for me. Is just thinking about just the diversity of our species and how everyone deserves acceptance and appreciation.
Thank you, Chris. James, can you tell me, when did autism became important to you? What autism acceptance?
Yeah, look, I got a couple of cousins who are on the spectrum. So I think acceptance to me, I think acceptance in all of the diversity that we have as human beings is really important. So acceptance in the broader term has always been important, but I'm compared to folks like my chair who's here with me, Cheryl Marsh, who has a daughter on the spectrum. I've had a different experience, and it's only been in the last few years as as an executive for agencies that are supporting folks on the spectrum, that for me that journey was really accelerated. So we all have our own path.
Yeah, that definitely, and that just leads me to Cheryl, because she's a parent and she's also a board, like she's a board chair, for NYFAC. Cheryl, if you could unmute yourself and let us know, very short if you can, when did autism, what story, what thing happened, why autism acceptance is important to you?
Well, after I had Tori, I realized that she wasn't developing the way her older sister was. And doing some research, I realized that she was autistic. We took her to a neurologist who did a 6-week evaluation of her. And on the last day, she told us, Rick and I, that she was autistic and that she would never be a functioning part of society, and that we should put her somewhere and go on to have other children. This was in 1996. This isn't the dark ages. And at that moment, I became an advocate.
Wow, so powerful. That's wow, I love that. Juliana, if you can, autism acceptance, when did that became important to you?
I mean, it was always obviously important to me, because since my brother was born, I always say that I knew, even from a very young age, like when he was a baby, I was just very attached to him. I would carry him around like a little doll. And I just knew that he needed taken care of from an early age. And obviously, like Cheryl said, he started missing his milestones, and, the diagnosis came, and, for us, not much changed because we knew something was off. But, it really didn't come for me until like high school, college time, because that was a time for me where I was a cheerleader. I had all these friends and all these plans and all these boyfriends, and those are all things my brother didn't have. And that really affected him. It really affected his mental health, and it affected us as a family in a negative way because of that. So it was at that point where I realized, how important it is to be aware of how lucky we are for the things we take for granted every day, from the littlest things to the biggest ones.
That's that sums it up. I really don't have much word when you guys speak, because you're so much more knowledgeable and more into it than I am. And so I'm gonna just move on and not speak too much. I'm here to learn. Dawn, I think you're the last one, right? When did autism acceptance become important
this is terrible.
to you?
Oh, can you hear me? I thought I got frozen. Oh, thank goodness. I was like, not again. Okay. Yes. Well, Cheryl, her story, I've worked with a lot of parents, and exactly around the time that your child was diagnosed, Cheryl, is when I was in early intervention. And I was meeting a lot of parents that this was, again, you didn't think the dark ages, but it was just incredible. The lack of information that was in services, and that it wasn't in place. And there was a real misunderstanding around the diagnosis. And we all learned, the parents learned and the providers learned as a community together. I've stayed in touch with many of my families to this day, from the time their children were diagnosed, and, now their children in their 20s. And that's also brought me into wanting to see, what happens and how they can get into careers and, how they can do things and, and they can do things. And the misconception that they can't is very, very frustrating. So, I think events like this and apps like Juliana is creating are fantastic, just truly fantastic. Am I still here? I'm not sure. Okay. I see everything moving.
I'm just getting my a few things also set up on the technical side, but I'm definitely listening. I think let's see if we could re-strategize this thing here. Guys, this is part of the COVID era. Adjusting.
We're all there with you, Loy.
Understanding and compassion. And I feel it right now because I'm feeling the compassion because I need it, because a few things are not working how it's supposed to be. But as also, I'm trying to treat it as a gift of learning how to be flexible. So let's get into something that someone asked me. I'm going to ask Chris this question. He's bringing up some things to me that's beyond my understanding. And I would like him to talk about, or at least answer this question for me. It's very technical, but I think it's important. What is neurodiversity?
Thanks, Loy. Neurodiversity is the biological fact that our brains are different. We're not all the same person, and it would be pretty boring if we all the same kind of brain. And so differences are good and should be embraced, right? And so there are two aspects. The neurodiversity is obviously there's biology, which we cannot argue with, right? And then there's the neurodiversity movement, which is all about understanding autism as a condition that is okay. Like it's not a problem. It's not a disease. It's not something that needs to be fixed. You are not a broken human being. It is, it's a difference. I mean, the obvious analogy that people throw around a lot is computers with different operating systems, right? If I buy a Lenovo laptop and it has Windows on it, cool, that's fine. If we try to install Mac OS on that laptop, it wouldn't work. But so what, right? A Macintosh is allowed to have its operating system, and a Lenovo is allowed to have its operating system, right? Your brain can work different, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You have your different strengths and weaknesses like everybody else. And again, it's just a biological fact that we have different brains, and we should appreciate that. And every human being is as valuable as any other human being, and appropriate supports may be needed at times for anyone. I mean, that's the long and short of it. In terms of neurodivergence, we want to talk about autism. We want to talk about ADHD. We want to talk about being dyslexic. We want to talk about epilepsy. Like a lot of these things fall into the divergent area of neurodiversity, but we're all part of it. We're all human, and so we are a diverse species. Simple as that.
Wow, thank you, Chris. Wow, I'm going to put a stamp on that one. Any from our panelists, any feedback on that that you'd like to add before we move on? Dawn,
I do want to mention that a lot of times people ask, why should you start to explore diagnosis for a child when they're less than 3 years old? And it is about neurodiversity. The child's brain is so more open to learning new skills, 3 and under, than any other age. And they can learn skills, and they're more adaptable, and they can be tested, and the diagnosis can be a huge benefit to them. So I did want to point out that, yes, the brain is wired very differently for everybody. And there's a window when you're really young, when you can capitalize on that. And that is the benefit of why you should start exploring, how to help your child from a very early age. And there is always help for every child.
I'm getting the hard things out of the way because because I don't know how much how much I'll be able to expand my mind today, because I'm learning. It's like a fire hose. Like I'm thirsty, you know. So I'm really being enlightened today. But I also want to ask one more technical question. There's this thing called masking, right? Masking. That was brought up to me, and people need to understand that. Can someone speak about, or anybody familiar with the term masking in relation to the autistic community? Okay, go ahead, Cheryl. Thank you. You're gonna unmute.
Okay, I just wanted to say what, I don't know much about it, but I believe the definition is pretending, masking to see how other people are expressing themselves through their actions and their facial expressions, and doing the same thing so you fit in. But I personally just wanted to add that we call it that when it's someone with a developmental disability doing it, but don't we all do that?
Absolutely.
That's
Well
basically-
said. Yeah. Yeah, we all have some level of masking that we do. And it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a blockage from allowing other people to see who you really are. And it's not good because we all can't fit into this box that these TV shows perpetuate. So this is also happening in the autistic community. And I really want to, oh, looks like we have a little fun going on over there. But this is also happening in the autistic community. Masking is a real thing.
I'm sorry, Lloyd. Sorry. Okay.
Can someone else also add to that, masking?
I'm happy to add, but I don't want to dominate the conversation since I just spoke for a while. So if anyone else wants.
Well, I called you an advocate, so you're like just automatically a dominator. No, I'm just kidding.
I promise you, Loy, I'm an introvert. Every time I speak, it's effort. But
I'm aware. So
I mean,
if you want to do that, that'd be great. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'll keep it real short. I mean, Cheryl, you're absolutely right that a lot of people are masking, whether it's because they're forced to by their social situation. LGBTQ community clearly has been practicing masking for a while when it was not okay to come out, right? So masking is something that you have to do to fit in, to get a job, right? To keep a job, that sort of thing. It takes a toll on autistic people specifically to have to pretend to not be themselves. And that is something that I think Nancy shared in the chat. It definitely, it's effort to constantly, in every situation, have to pretend to be something that society expects you to be. And it's about making other people comfortable, and it's a coping mechanism. So everyone does it to some extent. We all have to fit in some way in certain situations. But I think it's a particularly important issue to autistic individuals who kind of have to put that on, and it takes all of your energy to do that. And can make you seem like you're not focused on the task at hand when you're focused on just being, quote unquote, a person for the other people.
Right.
And this is,
yeah, go ahead.
And this is why you might see children have meltdowns that are unusual. Children on the spectrum sometimes have trouble coping because they'll cope for a period of time being really, typical or trying to be typical, and then become unraveled because it's exhausting. They're just exhausted from all the effort it's taken to get through the moments that maybe have been very overwhelming for them. Because the way they process sensory things are very, very challenging.
And I see that, Nancy, like you mentioned, Chris, in the chat, Nancy mentioned a little bit more technical definition, but it's still the same about autism masking as a survival strategy for autistic people to mimic this neurotypical behaviors in a social situation. And like you guys already said, it can really take a heavy mental toll. And I think Nancy Nancy helped us put this together. She's a NIRS community ambassador. So thank you for that. I would like to also move on, if I can, about the misconceptions. I think this is a big topic, misconceptions about autism. Is someone able to kind of summarize a little bit about the misconceptions that we hear about autism? If you can do that, I will pick on Juliana if you can.
Yeah, so obviously, like anything else, there's a lot of misconceptions in the community. Autism is a very interesting thing because they say if you know one person with autism, you know one person with autism. And that is so true. Like my brother is someone who is verbal. He is able to talk, but he does lack in social skills. And other individuals with autism might be very outgoing and very good with social skills. Again, it just differs from case to case, and you can't really put like a, certain thing on it or put them in a certain box because that's not how it works. So in the business I'm in, it's very important that I have tools in place to, support people, whether they are social or whether they're not. So that's a big misconception. Like a lot of people think of autism, people who can't talk or people who are flaring in public, which again, might be what it is, but it might not be what it is. And that's why they call it a spectrum, because there really is such a spectrum, such a big difference between people who are verbal, nonverbal, social, not social, et cetera, et cetera.
I also want to, if I can hear from Dawn about any misconceptions that you've been,
Oh, there's so many. I wouldn't, there's
what
so many.
What is the top one? What is the top? Give me a top one that you hear.
I gave that they're all nonverbal, or they're savants in one or two, they're savants in certain areas. I think there's a misconception about about what their achievement abilities are. Either I hear, one that they can be, savants in one particular area, or that they think there is an intellectual disability is a given when it's not. And again, what Juliana said, you can know one person with autism and you just know one person with autism. It's such a nuanced condition. So understanding, and it's hard because other disabilities, you can sometimes look at a person and you see the disability. It's a very obvious thing. That's not the case with autism. So it's very easily misunderstood, unfortunately.
And I know that there is I was witnessing symbols to represent the autistic community. What's accepted? What's the meaning of that puzzle piece?
Oh,
like, can someone kind of just?
Juliana's smiling. I think do you want to do it?
All right, we got some smiles here. Wait a minute.
I'll do it, but I have some opinions about it.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to say that I don't know who here knows, but it is a huge divide in the community. I have a very big following, 20,000 across all platforms on social media, and it's all parents, providers, et cetera, et cetera. And, some people, I have a puzzle piece tattooed on my rib, so does my mom, for my brother. And in my family, we do support the puzzle piece, and we do support wearing blue, which is another thing that is canceled this year. Blue is out now, and red is the new thing. And the infinity sign is the new thing versus the puzzle piece. So I personally, my family and I do celebrate with the puzzle piece in blue because my brother supports that. He doesn't feel that is in any way rude toward him. But some individuals with autism do feel that is saying, oh, you're missing a piece of you. Like you're less of a human being because you're missing a piece. And that's what they think it's symbolic of, which I disagree, obviously. I mean, individuals with autism might have special needs and might need a little more assistance, but that doesn't mean that we're saying that you're less of a person. But I don't really talk about that publicly on my platform. For Autism Awareness Month, I posted in black and white to keep peace, but that's just the situation.
Thank you. So I'm going to admit, round of applause here for you. So I want to, so I got to admit something. So again, it's all about education. There's probably tons of people like me that are still trying to understand the symbols that is okay or not okay, and what's the next thing. So I thought it was okay to put blue, to light up blue inside Neir's Tavern and outside. So that might not be the appropriate thing now that I'm learning.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Well, I think like any community, there's not a universal, any community, whether it's women, all women don't agree on something, all ethnicities don't agree on something, there's always going to be nuances. But I think anything that is a positive messaging, Loy, is fine.
Right.
It's fine. It's positive messaging. That's all that matters.
Right.
Certainly a diversity of perspectives. And at NYFAC, our logo used to be all about the puzzle piece. But if you, I'll get my hand right, if you, at the other side, if you look up to our new logo, we've sort of moved away. We've kept a little bit of puzzle, but not as much as we had in the past, just out of recognition of the different camps and perspectives. So I think there's space for them all.
Right. So we're all changing, we're all adapting. And, like they said, there's this whole awareness, acceptance. And I think Chris also said in one of his posts, we all need to also push for, what was it, Chris? You had the appreciation part, right?
Yeah, also appreciation for sure. I would just want to acknowledge that Cheryl has had her hand up, so let's let Cheryl have some space.
I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, there we go. I just wanted to add two things really quickly. Juliana, I also have a tattoo, but my puzzle piece is pink for my girl. And I believe that in the beginning, and this goes way back, that the puzzle symbol was supposed to represent the puzzle of how it originated.
Yes.
Where does this start? Is it the vaccine? Is it genetic? It was that back then. What is the initial cause? Why is there so many pieces?
Wow.
I would say it's important to talk about the history of it, and of course, every autistic individual has the right to embrace and reclaim the symbol or not, and it's up to the individual, of course. But it's important, I think, for everyone to think about the history of the piece, which was back in the 1960s, and the original puzzle piece logo had a picture of a crying child to imply that this was a tragedy. This is something that you should be concerned about, that this is a problem you should be afraid of. And so the original history of the piece is one most important thing that bothers a lot of people. So it is a matter of reclaiming and saying, I am not a tragedy, right? Your autistic child is not a tragedy. And so that's where a lot of the problem comes from. And then as far as the lighted up blue, like Autism Speaks took the puzzle piece, obviously a very controversial organization. They chose blue because they thought it only happened to boys. So there's a lot of just ridiculous misconceptions. I do think it is really important that we acknowledge that the puzzle piece is not divisive like 50-50. It's divisive like 90-10 among autistic individuals, right? So everyone's entitled to their opinion. Autistic individuals are more entitled to their opinion, clearly, because that's the marginalized group we're talking about. And I think it's important to say, well, if this is a controversial symbol, should we embrace it in our logos? James just talked about reducing it. Like, how do we deal with it? Like, we should think about it. We should listen to autistic people and the autistic community at large and not speak over what we have to say about that.
Thank you, Chris. There's I think definitely I'm learning a few things now, and all about just the history of it and some of the divisive part of it. But one thing I know is for sure is that we're still a community. We're individuals that make up a community, and a community means it's a shared sense of purpose, shared interests, and I think we all share this, and we're all trying to make it better, stronger, and more exceptional. So we're definitely on the same page with that, and that's important. Now, I really also, I know that we're running short on time, so we're gonna have to jump off. We can't get to all of the things that we wanted to get to, but I do want to pick out one thing that's been happening with the first responder community and autism. I want to kind of mention that. I come from a first responder background, and I've witnessed a few things. There's things that are happening that maybe people are acting a certain way that's not a normal, I don't want to use that term, like normal to what they normally see. But is there some strategies for first responders, medical professionals like EMTs, firefighters, police officers, that they should know if they're watching this now? What would you tell them regards to the autistic community dealing with that, with them, and responding, trying to help, so-called help? Can someone tackle that one? Any tips or advice for that community that might be watching, first responders?
I think they have to understand, this is a behavioral disorder and it can mimic other things that I'm sure first responders see, which can be confusing. It could look like someone under the influence of medication or drugs, possibly, because they might have repetitive behaviors, or they might have odd reactions to things, especially when approached by a stranger. There was actually, there's been shows that I think are now giving it a good platform, that have demonstrated, I think an episode of Atypical was done where the child, who portrays a child with autism on that show was approached, by a police officer and had a very extreme reaction, because that happens. It happens that, anything that's out of the ordinary context, usually for most people, but certainly somebody on the spectrum is going to, but their reaction is not going to necessarily be typical. Understanding those symptoms, understanding the possibilities that it's not necessarily somebody under the influence of drugs, it's not necessarily somebody who's a threat. I think training is required across the board for all first responders. My stepson's a cop, and I completely can understand, when you're in a pressure moment, having to figure that all out. If you don't have any point of reference, if you don't have never met anybody on the spectrum and you don't know anything about it, you're in that high pressure moment, it probably is very, very hard, very hard. So as much exposure you can give, I think, would be helpful.
Yeah. I know I was speaking to a police dispatcher yesterday or a couple of days ago, and she was saying that they have a wording that they would use when they dispatch police officers out. And there's this whole script that they would say when they're dispatching a police officer, so that the police officer can be, ready to open their mind up to understand that, this is not going to be the normal stop or whatever that they do. This person might be acting differently than the people that you normally stop. So I think that's also part of it, the education. And I really want to thank you, Dawn, for jumping on that, because it's big. It's big. I wish I could dive deep into it, but
that's a whole separate channel.
Next year, yeah. We're running a little low, so if there's Nancy or any of our Joanna, if there's anyone that had any questions specifically that you see, you can just kind of let me know now, so we can get to maybe one or two. I also, if it's okay, I would allow everyone to turn on their camera if they like, and you can raise your hand if you have any specific thing that you would like to say. That's important. So if you like, you can start your camera, allow that to happen as well.
Lloyd, while that comes out, just something to leverage off what Ian was saying on your point of first responders. First responders are just people like the rest of us, in really tough situations. So I think, I think we're at a really amazing point with acceptance and appreciation in our community, and depictions of neurodiverse people in movies and television that are diverse and inclusive. And the more and more we have of that, then the better everyone, first responders included, will prepared to deal with diverse folks. So,
correct.
Thank you, James. I neglect to do the final words from our panelists before we open it up. James, that was yours. Dawn, is any final comments regarding just the autism community and what we're doing today?
Just, I think that the fact that you're raising awareness, making people think about this, and again, understanding it is a spectrum that requires, a lot of understanding because everyone looks so different, but taking that initiative like you're doing with this event to make people ask questions, genuine questions, ask somebody who's got a sibling, a child, a friend. Don't make assumptions about people. Don't make assumptions about what they can or cannot do. And, start as early as possible, in investing in children. Start as early as possible. And it is, and never say never. Never say never.
Thank you. Juliana, any last comments that you would like to let the audience know?
Well, I want to speak on the young people and I guess parents of people who have children, even neurotypical children. I just think it's so important. Something I've been big into lately is, having parents and young people just know that they should be kinder and, know that there are people with differences, but that doesn't mean that they should be treated differently. They're bullied. I like to talk a lot into like middle school and high school a lot because that's where children really start getting self-esteem issues and stuff, and really encourage young people to sit with people who are sitting alone. And, obviously the bullying thing, like never bully, don't say things, because you could literally change people's lives for the better or for the worse, depending on how you treat them during that time. So definitely just encourage young people to know that and be kinder, and just parents to teach their children that at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Juliana. Really good words. Applause. You got an applause. You keep getting these applause. It's great. Cheryl, as a parent, any final words you would like to speak to the people that's listening right now?
Yes, I really appreciate this. It's fabulous and it's really well needed. I think that the lower to mid-range challenges and the kids that have those challenges are underrepresented in things like this. I know my daughter can't participate. She can't get up and make a speech. She can't do anything like that. Very briefly, I'm just going to tell you that I had taken her to an event because I was told that the kids from, that they were supporting, that this group was supporting, wasn't there to support the mission. And then I did bring Tori, and she broke a glass and she laid on the floor and carried on. And it was really, that's what she can do. And then everybody understood. It's not always what you see on television. This is what she has. These are her challenges. And, she needs to be out there as well. And that needs to be represented as well.
Yeah, thank you. Just understanding everyone is different and learning more about them. So you just don't trigger and do things that's going to upset. Chris, I really would like to hear any final thoughts you have for people that are watching. If you can give us a quick summary.
Yeah, thanks, Loy. The biggest thing is listen to autistic voices. Listen to autistic people about the experience of being autistic. If you're not autistic, there's no way that you would know. So you should listen. You should read. Some autistic people are non-speaking but can write very well. So read as much as possible. Visit the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network website. They have tons of resources that you can use to educate yourself. Their tagline, and the autistic self-advocacy movement in general, the tagline, the slogan is "Nothing about us without us." Autistic people are tired of being spoken for and want to be heard. That's it. Treated as human beings with autonomy, whose boundaries aren't violated, who have some support needs that should be accommodated for, and there are not enough supports in place. So, disability is not a bad word. There's nothing wrong with being disabled. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. We all need some amounts of supports, some more than others. But the awareness is for diseases, and this is not a disease. This is something that is a naturally occurring difference. We are a diverse species, and we should appreciate everybody and what everyone has to offer. And I could go on forever, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Definitely appreciate that. Is there, did I miss someone? Okay. I know, is there anything you guys have coming up next that people should know about? Anybody that has something?
You just read my mind, Lloyd. I just put in the chat that Queens Community House hosts free webinars for parents and the public on different topics, usually child care related, obviously. The next one we have is on red flags in early childhood, which does touch upon autism, ADHD, as well as some other common diagnoses or challenges children have. So that's one of the webinars it's the most recent webinar. So it's on our Facebook page, and you can, sign up there and see other, events that we're planning in the future.
Juliana, is there anything that you have coming up or you'd like to say to people to do to support you, or,
Yeah, we have our golf outing next month. So if anyone golfs, let me know. And that's on Long Island. I do spend a lot of time in Queens, which is how I know Loy, but my grandma lives there. But I'm on Long Island, so that's where the golf outing is. And, follow us on social media, Making Authentic Friendships, or download the app if you want. But I answer every DM. So if you guys want to chat, definitely let me know.
All right, awesome. And I think I have a slide that I'm going to show as well, so hang on. This also will be available, replay will be available on YouTube. Once we upload to YouTube, we'll share it back to our Facebook page. We'll take a few different clips from this and also share it on our page just to keep it going for the rest of the month. It's just the least I could do, and to send it out to our email list again to watch the replay for those that wasn't able to see it. Cheryl, anything that's coming up you'd like people to know about?
She's just trying to unmute. How about Cheryl? I just feel one thing in the meantime. I just put in the link to our 5K walk for autism this Saturday at Cunningham Park in Queens. So it's just around the corner. It's a partnership with the police. They're actually kind of running the event, and us and a handful of other agencies that support folks on the spectrum are all the beneficiaries of those fundraising efforts. So hope to see you there. I'll be there with my puppy, my new dog.
Awesome. Chris, you have any comedy shows coming up we should know about?
I mean, when we can do it in person again, we'll do it again. As long as it's safe and healthy and everybody's got their shots, and yeah.
Well said.
Love to make it happen again, but got to do it safely.
Well said. Well said. I have a couple slides I really want to show and let everybody know about these great panelists. But is there anyone in the audience who would like to? I'm just going to pick one person, or one person to ask a question, make a quick comment. You can raise. I think there's a raise hand function that you can do that now, or I think you should be able to unmute yourself and do that. So wait. Okay. Or you can save it towards the end. Here's what I'll do. So just quickly, I just want to ensure that I acknowledge a few people that have sent me some slides about their organizations, the things they're doing. This one is Make Authentic Friendship app. Beautiful little, here. Thanks, Juliana. What a great app. So powerful, so timely.
Thank
I also, you're more than welcome. Also want to acknowledge Queens Community House. They definitely do a great work with the childcare. They have a Queens Childcare Network, and they also deal with different children on the spectrum. Dawn is a director over there at Queens Community House. They're doing really, really great work. So please make sure you support them however you can, so they can continue doing the work that they've done. Again, make sure you visit makingauthenticfriendships.com. I believe that's the website. Hope I didn't mess it up. And also Queens Community House in New York City, qchnyc.org, NYFAC, NYFAC.org. Visit that. And of course, we are Neir's Tavern. We are here trying to survive the pandemic and get back to where we used to be, and even better and stronger. I just want to thank everyone that joined us today. Whether you sent the email, you shared it. I think Kayla is here. She shared it in one of her groups. These little things that are important. These things, you don't have to have $1 million, but as long as you show that you care and you do something. I always say you can't throw money at the problem. Sometimes you're going to have to do, the priceless things, the things that might require your time. And those things will allow you to have some empathy. That is what we're learning today about empathy, understanding, and that there are people in this community that can add so much to the world. I'm learning that firsthand with Jaron. Watched him as a little kid, didn't even talk to me. I was like, why he's not talking to me? To now he's making speeches. Saw his first speech on the stage, and now he just grabbed the mic and said, I want to say something. Listen, some people develop different way. I was also a late bloomer. I didn't really speak much, but so it is. Look at me now. I can't shut me up. But I appreciate everyone coming today. I'm gonna, is any last minute word? What I'm gonna do is that as we sign off, I'm gonna continue the live stream, and I'm gonna show the 5-minute video of the father that wrote and performed a song for his autistic child. And we're gonna end with that. Anybody would like to ask a question, say hello, you can do that before I do that. Any panelists, any last thing before we go? Everybody's good.
Thanks
Kayla,
for
nice
letting
to
us
meet
feel
you.
like we're at
Thank
the,
you.
at the bar with you, Loycent.
Go ahead, James.
Thanks for letting us feel for once in the last year that we're actually down at the tavern with you. We've had a great time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, until next year, maybe we'll be all down here, I appreciate it. Guy, thank you for joining. Jennifer, Bernadette, Rob, Kirsten, the other Jennifer, Evelyn, Mary, and of course the Neir's community ambassadors doing really great work and helping me putting this together. Wouldn't happen without you. If you also would like to be a community ambassador, help Neir's Tavern, and also make a difference in community, we're doing a lot of trainings and a lot of things that are in there working together. I want to thank Chris as well. Cheryl, thank you for jumping on. Juliana, thank you for even coming here. I'm glad that I met you that first time years and years ago, before the app became such a big sensation and making such a impact. Look at you now, you're on Forbes and doing all of these crazy things. Congratulations to everything and all your success. James, welcome to NYFAC. I know it's a couple of years for you, but we thank you for being in the Queens community, contributing to this community that's adding so much to the world. Dawn, thank you. I've always been a big advocate for Queens Community House. I appreciate them honoring me a few years ago, but it's just not about the pieces of paper and the metal. It's about just doing what you can with what you have. I don't have much, but I do what I can. And everybody, that's the same thing. Nancy, thanks for also quarterbacking again, as always. She's been our producer today. She's an ambassador, one of our most supportive, people of Neir's Tavern, making it work. And Joanna has been really, really impactful. Thank you for checking Facebook and referring people that could be on this panel. I really appreciate everything you do. Karen and Chris, thanks for joining us. Neir's 200 community member. He was also a Neir's 190. If you know about the Neirs being saved, he was part of that. 10 months, every month we met to make sure that we can do something special for the 190 and eventually national media attention when we were going to close, and Neirs was saved. So thank you, Chris and Karen, for everything that you do behind the scenes, including just showing up. Sometimes that's all you need to do. Thank you, Trisha, for jumping on. I know you were a little early and we couldn't let you in, but it is what it is. And Joanne, thank you. So we're gonna show, it's up to you guys. You can hang or not, but I'm just gonna do this for Facebook to show this last video of this beautiful, inspiring performance. Thank you for joining us today. Have a beautiful, beautiful day and enjoy, and make sure we promote acceptance and so we can get to appreciation. Jump on, you can stay on until the end, or you can leave now. Either way, I'll be on here to watch the rest of the video.
Why do you look up in the sky? Why do you run over there and cry? Look me in the eye, tell me what's up. I'm going over here, Dad, and I'm gonna play my song. Where have you gone? Oh, my son. Where have you gone? Take you to school, say it's gonna be alright. I work all day, and I'm scared all night. You work too hard for no one. I wish I were you, and you were me, son. Oh, my son. Where have you gone? Oh, my son. Where have you gone? Sit at the table and we start to eat. Once in a while, our eyes will meet. These are the times I love the best. For 1 second, my heart can rest. Oh, my son. Where have you gone? Oh, my son. Where have you gone? Tears on this page can't stop to say I love you now, love you always. Smile is the same, your heart is the same. Oh, my child, you mean the world to me. Oh, my soul.
It was such a beautiful video. Thanks everybody for joining. I really appreciate you being here. Everyone that's watching on Facebook, thank you so much. The replay will be available on YouTube, and it'll stay on Facebook for a little while. You can share as best as possible. All our panelists, you guys are amazing, doing great work. Thanks for taking the time out for doing this. Thanks so much. I'm gonna end. I know that we didn't get to everything, but hopefully another time we'll be able to dive a little deeper on a specific subject. It's such a large thing. We're just scratching the surface, but it's a start. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great evening.